People are wasting a lot of time growing nothing. Let's talk about it. I live in a quiet neighborhood in the city of Chicago, and it's a black community with a lot of homeowners. And what I notice is as soon as spring shows a little light, all of the neighbors run out of their homes and houses and start taking care of their lawns. They start watering grass and trimming bushes. And they spend all 3 months every day taking care of the grass, taking care of the bushes, taking care of flowers. Now, none of these plants that they take care of are edible. You can't make tea out of them. You can't eat them. And so if anything was to happen, like the stores running out of food, although these people are buying lots of fertilizer and using lots of water, they would still starve to death. Now, when I was a child, my parents are both from Alabama, so when I was a child, we used to go to Alabama a lot. My grandfather lived on a farm. So as a child, I seen him, taking care of the farm, taking care of the crops. As I got older, I started growing my dreadlocks, and around 1982, I moved to California, and then I moved to Hawaii. And when I got to California, they had a lot of avocados and oranges growing. But when I moved to Hawaii, there was food growing everywhere. Coconut and bananas, 10, 15 different types of bananas, and mountain apples and rose apples and mangoes of all different types of mangoes. And I can go on and on, pineapples. That's when I realized that back in Chicago, where I was from, people were growing food that they couldn't eat. So when I returned to California and then to Chicago, it really was evident to me how people have been brainwashed. Now, when I was in Hawaii, the Hawaiians tell a story of how the Portuguese and other European conquerors, when they came to Hawaii, they bought thorn bushes and bushes that would stick you in order to try to encourage the native people to wear clothes. Also, when I was in Hawaii, I noticed that the Hawaiians were a little backwards because many times they would go and you would see them with pickup trucks full of fruits, all types of fruits and vegetables. And they would go pick these fruits and vegetables and fill up the back of the pickup truck, and then they would go feed it to the pigs, and then they would eat the pigs. Now, these pigs, a lot of them had hepatitis because they were being bit by the mosquitoes that carry all type of germs. So these Hawaiians would take enough food to feed, 2 or 3, 400 people and give it to 10 pigs that couldn't feed no 300, 400 people. Also, the city and the state of Hawaii would drive around, different cities in Hawaii and the state all together would drive around and cut the coconuts off the trees. They said that they didn't want the coconuts to fall and hit tourists on the head. But the reality is that they were trying to remove all of the natural and wild growing fruits and vegetables to force the people to go to the store. And it was a known fact that in Hawaii, they depended on the barges to come from other places like Japan and America to bring the food in order for them to eat. So it was known that if the food ran out in Hawaii and the barges couldn't make it there, that there would only be enough natural food on the island for everybody to survive for about 7 days. So imagine a society that has taken a fertile place like Hawaii where you can grow so much food and has turned it into a place dependent on barges and ships to bring food into Hawaii. Imagine that. So daily this summer, I've been getting up, watching the neighbors, and they're just taking care of this grass and these plants that you can't eat. A couple years ago, I had grew a garden, but I have a lot of things going on this year, so I wasn't able to maintain my garden again this year. But next year, I will have an even bigger garden. But I'm trying to do some construction on the house, and I plan to tear all my grass out, and I'm going to make my whole front rocks. It'll be all the plants that surround the landscape will all be herbs, like peppermint and spearmint and things like that. And all the plants on my property will be edible or medicinal. There will be no plants that are worthless. And if I do plant certain plants, it'll be like eucalyptus, and it'll be plants that'll help keep bugs away, that'll help keep termites off of my property. But everything will be useful. I will not be watering grass. If you drive through Chicago for miles and miles, you'll see acres and acres of nothing but grass. And people are using billions and billions and billions of gallons of water watering grass, growing nothing. So you have to ask yourself, what will these people do when the food runs out? Look in Venezuela. In Venezuela right now, they have a food shortage. There's no food on the shelves. And Venezuela has the type of climate where those people don't have to be running in the stores like that. But the Babylon system have brainwashed people to kill all of the food that you could eat and replace it with plants that you can't eat. You all heard the story of Johnny Appleseed spreading apples all across America. When I was a little child in Chicago back in the 60s, there used to be apples and pears growing everywhere. Wild apples and wild pears. There used to be sunflowers everywhere with sunflower seeds. All of that has been systematically removed by the system. And all you have is weeds and bushes. And these neighbors, they plant this grass. And what do? They go and they put all type of toxic chemicals all between the cracks of the sidewalks and all in the grass, so they won't have no weeds. They just want pretty green grass. A real slave mentality. They have commercials on saying, make sure your yard is kept up as good as the neighbor's yard. Look at the neighbor's yard. And they sell you this image that you see the commercial and they have the green, beautiful lawn. And then they have the barbecue grill with the dead meat on it. So don't grow any plants that you can eat and vegetables. Just grow grass and go to the store and buy dead flesh and eat that. Tell me that's not the Babylon system. And people have been so brainwashed that they'll make comments when I talk about being a vegan and say, man used to eat insects and eat animals, because they have been taught this by people that eat meat and eat dead flesh. So the historians eat dead flesh. Of course, they're going to paint that into history. The same way Europeans have painted Jesus and everything white to fit a certain type of mentality they want to teach that goes along with a certain type of racist supremacy that's being promoted to the people. So, of course, meat eaters are going to tell you original man ate dead flesh because people believe that originally this planet was set up and there wasn't plenty of fruits and vegetables and berries for people to live on, which is false. Most of the findings that historians are telling you is original man is not. It's man after 4 or 5 falls. Man have had how many destructions? From the flood to the Tower of Babel and Atlantis and moon sinking, man has had many destructions. So what they're telling you is the beginning is not even the beginning. That's a fact. So they have this no GMO movement going on. But everything has already been genetically modified and has already been switched over. And all of the plants that we can eat and use for medicine have already been snatched up from our presence and have been replaced by weeds and thorns and bushes and stickers and shrubs and grass. You've already been brainwashed. You already can walk outside and see the grass, nothing but grass. When I was little, my father used to put a sprinkler out on the grass and let all the children play in the sprinkler. And my father always said that grass was grown so that you wouldn't step in the mud. And he said, but now people don't even want you to step on the grass. So I have a lot of neighbors in my neighborhood. They worship the grass. The children better not play and step on the grass. The children better stay right on the sidewalk. They don't even let the children play in the grass. And it's not safe for the children to play in the grass anyway because they done sprayed the grass with all type of poison. And you go out and you spray all of this weed killer into the grass. And when it rains, the rain washes all this poison weed killer down into the soil and down into your basement. You don't think that leaks into your basement? So over the years, these neighbors have surrounded their homes with weed killer and poison, and are growing absolutely no food. What made me think to make this video is the other day I came out and I was going to my car and I seen a neighbor and he was standing there staring at his sprinkler. So he watched the water go this way on the sprinkler, then that way, and he stood there and he was watching it. Then he moved the sprinkler and he was adjusting the sprinkler and he was making sure it get all the grass. And I know they'd be mad at me because I don't take care of my grass. I'll cut it. But I don't be out there spraying stuff on weeds and all that. I'm not going to be watering grass. And I'll tell you why. I lived in California. And when the water shortage hit California and the droughts, the city passed an ordinance where you couldn't water your grass but a certain hour a day and only for so long. And you couldn't wash your car. And they had a stick and they would walk around and they would stick this stick in your yard. And if that stick was wet too high, they would fine you $800. So the day is coming where you're not going to even be able to water that grass. You're not going to be able to water them shrubs. And you're not going to have no food to eat. And you're going to be standing in long lines at the store to get food to eat while you done wasted all this water and all this fertilizer on something you can't even eat. I could see if we was cows, then yeah, grow the grass. But what the hell we gonna do with some grass and some shrubs? So the people on this planet, as a spaceman looking down, the people on this planet have absolutely lost their minds. You have people that spend countless hours growing nothing.
health, and longevity. If you want to consume more plant-based foods, if you want to abstain from junk foods, if you want to consume fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and herbs, and avoid dead flesh, artificial flavors and colorings, sweeteners, anything that is unreal basically, purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan by Pharaoh Ramesses El-Aton, who has been a vegan 40 plus years. He will take you step by step on how to abstain from the junk foods, how to abstain from the dead flesh, the chicken, the turkey, the pork, beef, and all sorts of animal products. Purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan, to eat more natural. Remember that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. Let food be your medicine and let medicine be your food. Consume of every fruit-bearing and herb-bearing tree. Unto you it shall be for meat. Purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan by Pharaoh Ramesses El-Aton. Peace, health, and longevity.